it's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today let's do a Sunday video, a little bit different. I know we usually do our Sunday chat live, but because of the last week or so, everything happening with me, I decided to film it this way, and I'm sure you guys won't mind at all. So unfortunately for me, I've had some very tragic news in my family, which I'm sure many of you are going to be really sad by this news. My dad had fallen very ill, and I know many of you really loved him because he was a character, a smiler, and he absolutely loved the whole soap making idea and how you could make a business out of it. And you definitely can make a business out of it. But sadly today, my dad has passed away of this hideous cancer that he had, which is called multiple myeloma. It's a bone and blood cancer. So I will try and do this video and not be too sad, but I did promise my dad that I would not forget my Sunday people. He said, please don't forget them, as he was getting quite ill. He made me promise that I would not give up on my soaping dreams. So here we are, Dad. We are doing our Sunday chat, and I know he has grown his wings and flying around and wishing us all of the best. So today, let's get going on this chat, and we will actually talk about a few things business, because I know my beautiful dad Barry would be cheering all of us on in our small business, because as he said to me once, he didn't really have the nerve to be a business person, but he really loved the idea of having your own business, being your own boss, and starting something from the bottom, from just a little amount of money, and making it quite successful. So and I do believe that I've shown him this dream can happen. So today I'm going to be talking about oils and what is right and what is wrong in oils and why you choose them, along with quite a few other business things as well. And I thought, because of the passing of my beautiful dad, we could talk about how I got here and how you can do it too. So and I know lots of you will be saying, oh no, take some time, you should have a video, but doing soap, teaching all of you and showing the love really does show me that I can do this and I can keep going with my dad's memory. And the one thing that my dad lived by, his golden rule, was be kind. So he always said, be kind, teach people, show people, don't be selfish. And so here you go, Daddy, this is for you. We are definitely going to be doing this in a nice, kind way. So anyway, and I just wanted to come on here to tell you all of this terrible news, because I know all of you really have loved him so much, and the comments I get week after week about how's your dad going and so on is just really beautiful. But I don't want this to be a totally sad video. I want this to be, you know, something that he treasured and he really believed in. So I want all of you to listen ahead and realize that you can do it. Please believe in yourself and believe in your dream. It may take some time, a few years, but you can do it. So anyway, let's get going, and I'll go through the rest of the video. While we have a look at the beautiful plants that are growing into my garden outside, I mean, look how gorgeous these are, hydrangeas. I thought that we would talk about a couple things to do with oils and also some micas, and then I would get in a little bit about myself. So I'm just putting in some random pictures of my products and so on, so that you can see exactly what I do. So lots of people ask me, how much mica should you use? Now mica is quite different depending on the sort of micas or oxides or whatever you're using, but if we talk about cosmetic grade micas, which is what I actually use, you should be using half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon per pound of oil, which that works out to be per 500 grams of oil if you are in Australia, because of course we use grams and not pounds now. So hopefully that helps you. And if you don't use that amount, you don't have to, you can use less, but it just means the color may not be vibrant enough for you, and then of course you'll be a little bit upset. So that's, if you want like a true black, you need to add a good amount. There's no good adding a small amount because it will go gray or green. So that's the important thing when we're doing you know, all of these type of things to really think about the end result and the color that you want to get from everything else as well. So anyway, like I said, hopefully that helps a little bit just about mica, but do look into oxides, micas, and all the different things. There's liquid dyes and so on that you can use. But myself, like I said, I do use cosmetic grade micas. And then of course with my bath bombs, I do also use dyes. And you know, you don't need a lot of colorant in dyes, but if you're using dyes, please use polysorbate 80. If you do not, then the micas and everything can stick to the bath, make it dangerous and slippery, and nobody will love you for that. So I just thought I would add that little bit in about bath bombs, because they're probably one of the most questions I get asked is about bath bombs. So next, let's get on and talk about oils and butters and which ones you can use and not. All right, so now let's talk about some oils, because I do get lots of questions about oils and what sort of oils you should be using when you're making soap. Now, when I say should, don't take that exactly as I'm saying. It doesn't mean you should. It just means that, you know, there's different oils you can use that have different benefits and so on. So for myself, I choose to use olive oil. I also use cocoa butter, shea butter, and so on. Of course, there's more things, but they are the main ingredients into my soap. There's a number of reasons that I use them. Number one, people usually think of shea butter, cocoa butter, and olive oil as a more luxury blend soap, and that is exactly why I use it, because people pick that up, they look at it, it's palm free and so on, and they just think that's a better soap. It does not mean that it is a better soap, but sometimes it's just what is more marketable as well. Personally, I do think soap that actually has palm oil, certified palm, is a really creamy, beautiful soap. But lots of people get a bit nervous around palm, even though it's certified, because, you know, there's just so much, you know, arguments about palm, not palm, and so on. So that's why I dropped it from my recipe, and now all my recipes are palm free and vegan. So as I was saying with the oils, just make sure you look into the oil that you want to choose for yourself, and make sure that you market your product really well in regards to that oil. And I hope that you sort of look at the properties and so on and try out the soap you make, because I've changed my recipe multiple times during my process of making soap until I found one that I really, really love, which is my one that I do put up, and I have given the recipe away for that one. So just look at my other videos, especially the palm free ones, because that is my new recipe that I really and truly love, and that is what goes into many gift stores. I have it in beautician stores, you know, some Westfield stores and so on. So anyway, so I do know that it's a beautiful soap and it does work, and I definitely do use my own soap for anybody that's asking. So now let's go through a few different oils and I'll give you some ideas. So I'm sorry, I am going to look down because I've done a few notes for all of you so that I can explain a little bit more about, like I said, the oils and the reasons that you may be using them. So we'll start off with butters. Butters are pretty much exactly as they sound. It is like a butter. It is like something hard, you know. You've got your cocoa, your shea, and so on. And I'm going to grab you one of my cocoa butters, because this is my new bag that's just come in under the bench. I get mine from Deluxe Shea Butter, and they do cocoa, shea, and so on. And this is exactly what it looks like. And it does have a really kind of chocolatey, nutty type of scent, but you can get some that, you know, have been refined or unrefined. Unrefined means it's just natural. It comes to you as it is and so on, and it's quite nice. And the shea butter is that I get from the same place as well, which is Deluxe Shea Butter, and that is beautiful and soft and creamy. And you know, as you can see, it looks like a butter, doesn't it? And it goes through a bit of a process where they mix it like a butter as well. So that is exactly what that is. Then you will also have hard oils such as coconut oil, which, as most of you will know, it comes in a big block, or or your chunks a block, and then you can break it down. But in the heat, it's going to melt down, of course, and then you can fix it and do whatever you like from there. But so there's sort of really different ones as well. Then you will also have essential oils. You're going to have fragrance oils. You're going to have carrier oils, infused oils, absolute oils. So there is quite a lot of oils to think about, and a lot of people get really, really confused with the oils and what oils to use. So as I said earlier, I use olive oil, and I really do believe that is one of the most beautiful oils. And I also use jojoba oil quite a lot in my bath bombs and so on. I don't put that in soap because it's very, very expensive, and I would need to charge a lot of money if I added that into my soap. So that's, if you're using things like a jojoba oil, I really suggest that you put that in more like body butters and, you know, just things that you're going to use more on your skin, you know, or even a little bit in a bath bomb is beautiful. I do use the jojoba oils in my bath bombs as well. So hopefully that kind of does, you know, help you a little bit as well. And when you're using butters and coconut oil, you don't have to use massive amounts either. So the one thing I see a lot of people doing is they say my recipe needs to have 45 hardness. It does not need to have that much hardness at all, because over the curing process, it's going to get hard. I mean, you can make a soap that is 100% olive oil, total liquid, and that's still going to get hard in time. It just might mean that you need to give it 6 to 8 weeks if you have, you know, 50% or so of olive oil in it. Just make sure you give it its cure time and you will be fine. So that's sort of something I wanted to talk about. So we've talked about the butters at the start, and then now we're going to talk about carrier oils. So carrier oils really are, you know, your main oils that you would think of. You know, there's like olive oil would be the main one, sweet almond oil, apricot kernel oil. I mean, there is so many, you know, I can't list them all. Hemp oil, that is another one. And basically it just means that one can be blended, you know, into soap and things like that. And it's going to carry through the soap and be blended easier. And that has to do with, you know, its fatty content in the oil, because all oils are really different. So sweet almond oil, for instance, has a lot more fat content than apricot kernel oil. So apricot kernel is what I usually use in, you know, my body butters, because it makes it less greasy. So that's something that you really do need to think about when you're doing all of that as well. So like I said, so we've done the carrier oils now, haven't we? We've done our butters as well. So now we'll talk about essential oils. So obviously essential oils that come from your plant-based, but it's not what I would call natural, because it goes through such a process. It's not like you just squeeze the plant and it comes out. It doesn't. It does need to go through a really big process. It needs to go through a chemical process. It still does. You know, so steam goes through like a steam process, or there's lots of other processes for it. And I'm not a chemist, so I won't kind of go into all of that. But, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I want essential oils because they think they're so much better. But sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're still going to go through all these processes and so on. But, you know, it's a good marketing tool, isn't it? Because people's ideas of that being better than fragrance. And yes, fragrance is man-made, but you know, it depends where you get your fragrance, and you need to look in the background of the fragrance, because they're all made different as well. So all of the fragrances I buy, well, I shouldn't say all of them, but probably about 85% are made in Australia. Some of them are made outside, but I do make sure that they are tested and approved for use in Australia. So that is super important. Don't just go and grab something off your shelf in your cheapy centre and think, oh, well, it's cheap, I can use it. There's usually a reason it's cheap, and they cannot all be used for, you know, soap or bath bombs. So they're not all approved for that. So please do look into it, and I do suggest you only buy from soap and candle suppliers, and it will have a list down the right hand side that will say the usage rate and whether it can be used or not. Like I said, you know, in soap and bath bombs and so on, because some will say you can only use 2%, some will say 5%, some will say further. So, you know, you really do need to look into that and understand how much you're using, keep your batch numbers and record it and so on, so that you can try and replicate it if you're selling wholesale, which I do. And look, I always say to everybody, it's handmade, it's hand poured, it's not going to be the same every time. 100% it is not, and I never promise that. So do make sure that you're really, really clear on promising that, because you can't get the same swirl in everything. I mean, it's just literally how it, you know, how the soap falls is how it falls. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But anyway, that's one thing that I just thought we would talk about as well. So, and also if you're wondering what absolute oils are, because I often, when I first started, thought, what is that? And I really did not understand what it really meant and what that whole process of that is. So So now let's get back on to one of the oils because I forgot to add that in the end. So if we're talking about absolute oils, they are a little bit different and there's not a lot of absolute oils. So as I said, I've looked into all of these and done a little bit of studying. So I will look down and tell you exactly what I've written. So that means they are highly concentrated as well, and they are extracted from flowers, roots and plants such as jasmine and frangipani. So that's an absolute oil. And if you want more information on oils and their definitions and so on, if you go on to companies like N Essentials, so no matter what country you're in, you can just log on to their website. So it's just the letter N and then essentials.com.au, and they do have explanations about oils and what they are, what they do, you know, their benefits and so on, which is really, really handy. So that's something that I love, and I do buy from them. I buy quite a lot of products from them in massive drums and some in smaller quantities. You know, I buy my activated charcoal and so on from them now. So and you know, look, the one thing people often say to me, they are more expensive. Yes, they are sometimes, but don't look at the price. You need to look at the quality. Is that quality of, you know, is that product really good quality that you want to use? And for myself, I don't want to use a cheap product. I want to use a quality product so people get my stuff and they love it. And look, I'm going to tell you that as well, because we were saying how I was going to talk about my business a little bit. The one thing that I will tell you is I have had so many people say, I love that, and they come back and back and back and buy it. I never thought at the start that that would happen, but it does. I've had some people that have bought 8, 10, 12 orders. So, you know, so don't think, you know, oh, well, I'm just going to do it cheap. No one's going to notice. They will, because you can feel the difference in the soaps and so on. So have a bit of a play around with different recipes and putting different oils in to see what you love and what is good for your business. So now we have finished talking about oils, and as I said at the start, I thought I would talk a little bit about my my own business, because I think it's important to keep things in context. Because the one thing that, look, I just think this is so important. You see lots of people and they're packing thousands of orders, and you watch them when you're first starting and you're trying to get off the ground, and you think, how are they doing that? I can't even get one order. And I know, because honestly, I've been there. I really, truly have been there. And you sit there and it's really depressing, because you're seeing a lot of people do that and you just don't understand why. And like I said, so, you know, that did definitely happen to me at the start. And the only thing, honestly, that has helped me is 100% social media. Free social media, FREE, everybody. Do not pay for social media. Do not pay an influencer. That's my strong advice. Don't do it. Because the thing is, I have actually paid people. Honestly, I've never made any money out of it. I've lost a huge amount of money, thousands of dollars over the last few years, paying for all these different companies that promise SEO. They promise to get you people. They promise to get you people in the door. They do not. You know, you may be lucky, but honestly, most people I speak to said it's been an absolute fail and it has not worked for them. So I would definitely suggest not to do that. Post every day on social media, you know, and make sure you're showing your products, talking about them. Don't do a big sell. I never say, hey, buy it now, or all these discounts or whatever. I literally just show them what I'm doing, do a few sentences. You know, I put a few keywords in to be picked up on, you know, social media, and then that's it. And then I come back later. Sometimes I'll post 2 a day if I have 2 things I'm doing. And I've done that even when I was not getting sales. I still kept going. And the problem is, people will do this for, say, 6 months. Then they get depressed because they're not getting the sales. They give up. And then they come back months later and go, we'll try it again. Well, you can't do that. You have to just be persistent, consistent all the time. So every day post, or every second day, whatever day you choose. And I don't do a lot on Facebook at all, because I don't really get a lot of results from Facebook. But I do believe that Instagram, you know, is one of the biggest ones, because it's all about images. It's all about business now. There's a lot of businesses on it. And, you know, look, image is power. So make sure you take good photos. You don't need a fancy camera. Just use your iPhone and so on. But so that's the one thing I was going to say, that's how I get customers. And you will notice I don't do a lot of like packing videos. Number one reason I don't is I actually think it's a bit mean. I just don't want all of you to see me doing lots of orders, and then it's quite depressing for you, because you're like, how is she getting orders? I've got a good product too, but I can't sell it. So that's the reason I don't do a lot. Every now and then I do show one, but generally I don't. And if I do, it's usually like a wholesale one or something, and I think that you'll get value out of that, or it might actually help you, and so on. So I really do hope that this video is going to help you and not make you think, oh, she's getting more orders and I'm not, because please don't think like that. It didn't happen overnight for me. It's taken 3 years, really honestly has, to get to this, and it's only been the last few months that I have really started to get, you know, a lot more orders and so on. And of course YouTube has helped me 100%, but the same thing, I get people quite often saying, I've got a YouTube channel too, I'm not doing very well, how have you got your subscribers and why do people watch? The one thing I'm going to say is they know I'm going to come back all the time. They know these videos, and I do believe a lot of it is because I'm not selfish. I do share and I do give them my recipe. I give all of you guys the recipe, and I honestly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, really do wish all of you will succeed in this soap making journey. So I'm not just doing it to benefit myself. I really am doing it to help, and that's why I started the conference, because I did want to help and I do want to help. So I really do hope you look at my videos in a helpful way, and they're not meant to make anyone feel bad or low because they're not selling anything. So if you have any questions about that, please just message me. But I just honestly, believe that you got to do the hard work. It's about hard work, consistency, and like I said, just keep coming back and do not give in. If you give in, somebody else is going to keep being more consistent than you, and people will go to them. If I stopped doing my Sunday chats for months on end, people wouldn't come back, because they go, where is she? I mean, that's the thing. And I know all of you are probably, like I said at the start, thinking, oh my God, your beautiful dad has passed and you're on here doing a video. But you know what? This is business. And look, I've even had orders that I've been shipping out. People are like, yes, I'm sorry about your dad, but at the same time, I want my order. So, this is the thing. People don't really care about your personal issues. It's just, I've ordered, am I getting my stuff? So, and I know that sounds heartless, but that's how people sometimes think in business. I just want my stuff because they need to sell it to earn money. And my dad would be the first to say, do not give in, just keep going back and do your work. He would definitely say, don't sit at home being a whinger. He was not a whinger. He never complained about his cancer. And that's the one thing. Don't complain and say, oh, it's not happening. Find a way and sit there and really do go, how can I be different to that person down the road? How can I stand out more? And that's exactly what I did. And at the start, I wasn't going to show myself. I said, who wants to watch me? I'm an old mum from the suburbs. But people do want to watch. They interact with you. They really do learn to love you. And they learn to love your personality and who you are. So if you don't have a fun personality, you're quite boring, think of something to kind of, jazz it up, Don't just kind of speak at the same level. People want to hear you speak. And I mean, look, I'm not putting on that. This is how I am. I mean, honestly, I always try and smile in the worst of situations because that's how I've been brought up, to try and always see the positive side of things. So anyway, without me further ado, me blabbing on about that, I just thought that was really important. And as I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I started and so on. I have said this story a little bit before, but basically what I was doing is working, and I was putting some of that money aside to start the business and, buy things, because you need molds, you need, soap, there's so many things you need. But the one thing that I'll say is you can't buy in bulk at the start. Just buy small. See if you like it even first before you do a big business. Do not go out and spend thousands of dollars before you've even got customers, because you'll be very disappointed when you're sitting there with all your expensive products, your KitchenAids and your mixers and all of your bulk supplies and no orders, because that's depressing. So I suggest that you start small and slowly introduce it. You don't need to have all the products I have behind me. Might just start with candles, or you might just start with soap, or just bath bombs. You might start with only 4 fragrances and then slowly introduce them, as I've done. But next year, I will be cutting quite a few fragrances out, because this year it was like, for me, I thought, let's do a big bang of fragrance, see what sells, see what doesn't sell, and then we will go from there. So I know ones that don't sell so well and ones that do. And it's funny, because sometimes I think, oh, that's going to be a huge seller. and then it doesn't sell, and I'm like, what? Why? You know, like, I love it. Why can't it sell? But it's just the thing. Some people just don't like it. And one thing that I've definitely noticed is anything with a unicorn everyone loves. So, you know, and the same is marketing. You've got to think of words. So if you, for instance, you know, market something that's, I don't know, say it's a unicorn looking thing, but it doesn't have the word unicorn, well, it's not going to go as well. So I'll show you like my new candle that I'm doing at the moment. So this is my new unicorn candy. And if you just see, it's really pretty. It's light pink, but it's not over the top. I won't do these often, but every now and then there's a couple that I'm going to do like this. And this is the thing. These are the ones people love. So you need to just do something fun. Don't be scared to put the riding over the horse or something like that. And, you know, make it nice and clear as this one here is. And that one will be coming out probably next year. I've got to work on that one a little bit. So I will have small jars in that, and I will have my large jars. And as you go along, you realize how much things cost as well, and, you know, whether it's going to work or not. So anyway, and as I was saying, so when I started small. Then after that, I slowly introduced things. I was only online. Then I went to markets, and at the first few markets, I only sold like $80 or $100. Whereas now I'll sell $800 or $900 because people get to know you, they like you, and once they find someone they like, they'll come back. I have some people that find me at markets, and then they continuously buy online now. So they'll just buy candle after candle, and you do need to offer free shipping once they spend a certain amount. Please do that. It just entices people to buy more, and it entices them to come back to you because they say, well, I'm not going to pay those dreaded shipping fees. If I buy so much, I get the shipping. If you're doing something like wholesale, you cannot do free shipping. Do not do free shipping because you're not earning enough money. There is not enough wiggle room in your product. So please don't do that. I've heard lots of people say, oh, well, such and such does free shipping for wholesale. I do not do that. And I have been getting some orders that have been really big orders at the moment, wholesale. But when you first start, you kind of roughly, you think this is what it's going to cost to sell it. Now, I'm telling you, out of 1,000 bath bombs I sent to one customer, it ended up costing me $400 odd in shipping. I think it was around 410 or something like that. But, you know, I didn't think so, and I thought I'd charge them $99. Well, sometimes you've got to look at that and you've got to go, well, okay, that didn't work. Now I have to up my price. You've got to be realistic. You really do. But this customer was lovely, 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 and gave me a really nice chat. So Renee, if you're on here, a big hello to you. And the one thing is that she said, you know, you can actually go to some of these freight companies and you can put it on a pallet and then, you know, wrap it up yourself. I have all the proper shrink stuff to wrap it up with. So, you know, that's probably what I might look at doing for my big customers in the future. And then I could maybe cut down the cost on shipping and things like that. So, but I'm going to look into that. That will be for my new year in 2022, because let's be honest, we are getting very, very close to the new year. But I have to get through all these crazy orders at Christmas time, and then of course in the new year, I will sort of look at a few different things because I have a few things that I'm thinking of doing, and I do have something sneaky and fun to show you. My husband has been designing, which I did tell you in the last video, he has actually been designing a rack that is going to be for bath bombs. So, and I've actually broken it. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. So this is the rack I have. So if you can see this, it's basically got the holes. And what's going to happen is, so we're going to have this. It won't have the little, these little studs things. These are just screws. This is just a test. So because we're still working on creating this. So if you can see, it has these little bits at the end. So what happens, and I've just made this little bit to show you. These bits here, you actually attach it on here. So let me just stick it together. And it will be a thicker plastic because this plastic wasn't thick enough. We didn't think so. You touch it like that, and of course it will end up being right. Like I know this doesn't look even here, and it's not, but it will be even. And so then you can just keep going and going. So you can have like 10, 20, 30 meters of it in a row. So, and then what you do with this is then you'll have like individual cups. And the one thing I love about this, and so if you see these, so then they're going to be a bit different. We're still working on this too. And so then they will sit back in there, and then you've got them all there. And the good thing is, you know, when you do a bath bomb and you want to kind of flip this onto the bath bomb like that, and then flip it back, and then the bath bomb's neat. That's what this will do. And that's why we didn't attach them in here. So I really love that idea, which means it will keep the satin ring perfect as well. we probably will eventually sell them, but this is going to take some time coming up with a really, really good design that we love. So anyway, this is the first little bit of it. And how exciting is this? So it's a 3D printed little bath bomb rack, because in Australia, as you all know, we can't get them. It's impossible to get them here, and very, very expensive to ship them in. So that's something I'll be doing. Maybe eventually we may even make a few sneaky molds. I don't know. This is something we're thinking about at the moment. But the main thing was, and you know, honestly, we didn't do this for money. We did it for me because I wanted a rack and I couldn't get them except for having to order overseas from Canada. It was just so expensive. So I gave up on that idea because it was going to cost thousands of dollars to get the amount of racks that I actually wanted. And I thought that's ridiculous for, you know, a little plastic rack. So anyway, but yeah, so that's something that's in the pipeline. So hopefully that's exciting to everybody, and I will show you guys first. And once they're all done, I will have a competition and give away a couple as well. And I think I did tell everybody in my last video, I will be giving away a slicer machine as well that my husband has actually made, like a splitter machine, because a lovely, lovely follower on here, Leanne, was beautiful, and she ordered me one from Vinny, which I'm really excited to get. And Vinny did say it's in the mail, so I'm waiting for that, Leanne, and when that comes up, I will show everyone how amazing it is, because as you guys know, I do think Vinny's products are really, really good. After using his slab mold, I'll definitely be buying another slab mold in the new year. And maybe I'll have 2 or 3 or 4 even at one go, but that's my goal anyway. And you know what, sometimes you think, oh, $160, but it's not really that much, because once you've got it, that's it. And the good thing I like about Vinny's is because it's, you know, silicone, you're just washing it, reusing it. So there's no folding the paper and having all the edges where you have marks on it, which sometimes that happens from silicone. So anyway, that's something that I just thought I would talk about. So I hope you guys are as excited as we are as these. And my dad thought this was such a cool idea. You know, when he seen this, he said, oh, it looks like a little Chinese noodle bowl, which it kind of does, doesn't it? So, but we're going to have to perfect this a little bit more. But he thought that was super cool. And, you know, this is the thing. My dad was brought up in an era where there was none of this kind of thing. And as he said, you would have had to have a big factory to do it. But now, I mean, we can buy these machines for $1,000. So, and make your own. I mean, it's just amazing what you can actually do now. But my husband is just so clever to, you know, he really is. He does all the design on the computer, and then we go from there. So anyway, so I hope that's been a little bit of fun learning about that. And as I said, you know, my business did not happen overnight. It wasn't just a big bang and everything happened and I got heaps of customers. It did not happen like that. It truly did not. And there's other, you know, people that I know, there's other soapers that you guys watch as well, and do remember as well, there's some of those people that have been doing this for 10 years and more, so that's why they have a lot of followers and so on. And even the whole process of YouTube, of making a video, editing a video, all the stuff that's in between, the things I never understood about. So and I'll tell you something as well. One thing that I have learned as well, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, but the one thing that I will say to you is it doesn't come easy. So, you know, if you're not prepared to work, it's not going to happen. And work hard and a long time. There is some nights, honestly, even when my dad was really unwell, he would be asleep, you know, inside in our home. And, you know, my husband would be watching him. I would come out until 2 in the morning making bath bombs, because this is what you've got to do to be successful. And every big entrepreneur will tell you that. It's no such thing as an 8-hour job at the start. As you get better and better, you can probably hire people, take the load off. But at the start, you've got to do your tax yourself. You know, you've got to do the making of things yourself. You've got to do the designing of things, the labeling of things, sending things, freighting things, the website. There is so much editing if you're doing videos, photos, I mean, marketing, you know, the list goes on. So, but that's just something I really wanted to get it across. Now, the one thing that I forgot to talk about before, which I was getting to the end, and I did forget. So one thing that is super duper important when you're editing videos or you're doing them, especially if you're using iMovie on an iPhone, which is what I actually use, there's like songs, like audio songs, and even though you have the license to use them. So one thing I seen somebody talking about this the other day, and I thought how clever. you'll have a list down of the audio songs. And for instance, let's pretend the person's John Brown that's making the song. So his song might be Fox, and then John Brown underneath says his name. But if you keep scrolling down to the very bottom, it will give you 5 or 6 basic songs with no person's name. So it's just like the music that's owned by iPhone. So that was the thing that I was allowed to use. And when this lady was saying about it, she says it's called Playful, and there's a few other ones like Neon or Modern, there's a couple. Those are the ones you've got to use on YouTube, because I kept being pulled up for using someone else's music, and I didn't get a strike or anything, but they would say you can't use that. And I was thinking, why? I have an iPhone and it's on iMovie, I'm allowed to do it, and I just could not understand. But that is why. And it's not even a person picking up, the computer of YouTube picks it up, and then of course after that, it's kind of like a whole big headache. And I've had so many headaches with it. So from now on, I won't be using that, which is a real shame, because Fox in the Fields is one that you guys love, that music. And I know a lot of you remembered me from when that came on. But unfortunately, I cannot use it because of the other person's name under it, which is a big fat headache. So a lot of my videos, I'm going to have to change the music on them all. It's going to be so much work. It's going to be hundreds of hours, I think, of fixing it, because sometimes when you use the editor, it's not very good as well. On YouTube, the editor's terrible actually, and it can take, for something that I change, might even be a 20-second thing, can take 4 hours to upload. It's absolute headache. So anyway, but that's why I thought, look, I'm just going to tell you that for anyone that's editing. So don't use the ones for people's names, just use the one at the bottom, which is basically, just the basic 5 different songs or something. But anyway, that's what I've got to use from now on. So I'm sure all of you won't mind anyway. I usually just keep it playing in the background. But you don't know these things. This is a learning curve, having a business and doing videos and everything else. So anyway, I think I've almost finished my Sunday chat. I hope it has been helpful, talking about, like I said, oils and butters, talking about the business, what you do, how you get here, and all of these things. And I do have another video that I'm thinking about doing, which will be all about Shopify. So I will try and get that to you as soon as I can, but my husband will need to help me because he's better on Shopify than me. I'm pretty good at it. I do all of the website myself, but there's just a couple background things that he's helped me with, which have been super handy. But like I said, I hope that you've enjoyed this Sunday video, and I'm sorry I have not been putting videos out, but I'm sure all of my beautiful friends on here will totally understand in regards to my absolutely darling dad, that, like I said, and he told me, he said, Ronnie, I'm getting my wings and I'm about to fly. So yes, Dad, you've flown high, and I'm sure he is sprinkling some mica and fairy dust on us and wishing every single one of you a beautiful, successful soaping business, because he was so amazed that you could make money from soap. He used to always say, how can you make money from a little bar of soap? And then when he would see me at a market and I would come back and I've sold $800 or $7 or $9, whatever it was, he was always like, really? How can you sell that? He was shocked. So, that's what I want to say, that, you can do it, everybody. Please do realize how talented you are, how clever you are, and have a go. Give it a go. Worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work. Just don't take out a loan. Just do it slowly, and that way there is not much risk for you. The risk is the loan and when you're investing all this money, but only invest what you can. So as I sold things and I reinvested, that's basically how I started, and that would be my suggestion. But anyway, like I said, thank you for listening, everybody, and I hope everybody has a really sweet, lovely week. Make sure you give all of your family a big hug, because as I know, sometimes, you just really miss that. It's the one thing I miss, is my morning coffee with my dad and giving him a kiss every morning. So make sure you kiss your mum and dad if you still have mum and dad there. If not, a friend, husband, whatever. And I will see you on the next video. Bye, everyone. I love all of you, and thank you, everybody, for the most beautiful wishes that I've been getting on Facebook and private messages as well. Bye for now.